Hey, thanks for clicking on the Halfway Home podcast.
We are two young men sharing honest conversations about life, growth, and everything in between.
Not experts, we're just two international student athletes figuring things out as we go. While this is just our first episode, this is something we're fully committed to growing, and with your support, we know we can make it something special.
If you do us a small favor of subscribing to the pod and following us on our socials, we promise to work tirelessly to keep improving the show for you guys. So, thank you.
Enjoy the episode. Hey guys, welcome to the first episode of the Halfway Home podcast. My name is Max Falconer.
And I'm Tim Barwaldi.
And we are very glad to have you here watching us today. This is probably,
The ninth take
of this first episode.
Yeah.
I don't think we realized how hard it was going to be to actually just sit down in front of a camera and talk to each other.
Yeah, I think the first aspect just being natural, right?
Yeah.
Being your true self. I think you just change yourself automatically the moment you speak in front of the camera.
Yeah.
And you can't really change the behavior. And it's funny for us to observe ourselves and be like, dude, we're just incredibly unnatural right now.
Every time we watch it back, it's
Yeah.
like, I was not myself. That feels so weird to look back on.
Yeah.
And I think, just when you get put in front of a camera, there's going to be a certain amount of performatism that you put on, because you are performing at the end of the day when you know that it's going to be watched. And I think it's just a skill that we're learning. Yeah.
True. And I mean, we talked about it, right?
Yeah.
Fail 7 times and stand up 8 times.
Well, now it's failing 8
And
times and stand up 9 times.
True that.
Yeah.
And it kind of like resembles the idea of our podcast, Halfway Home, Max. right?
Halfway home. Yeah.
Halfway home.
Do you want to go into more detail about what this podcast is about?
Yeah, so Max and me actually looked for some inspiration for our podcast name, and the moment we saw Halfway Home, we just felt like it just fits perfectly, right? And basically it kind of represents our lives. We're far away from home.
Yeah, give some context as to like who we are and what we're doing. Right
Max from New Zealand, from Wellington, beautiful town somewhere and nowhere in New Zealand.
Capital city.
Capital city, yeah, but so far away from here. And I'm from Germany, Frankfurt, Germany. My mom's from Florence, Italy. I was raised in both countries, so I'm like the most European you could probably get.
Yeah, that is pretty European.
Yeah, and we just met here. We're playing soccer together, football, the beautiful game in South Carolina, in a little town called Clinton. And
Clinton, South Carolina.
Clinton, South Carolina, yeah.
In the USA.
Not too far away from Greenville or from Charlotte. You could say 2 hours from Charlotte away. And yeah, a small, cute town, and basically we play soccer together, as I just mentioned, and we met each other 4 months ago now. Crazy how fast the time went, right? Felt like...
To be honest, I always think time's gone so fast. For me, this year has gone so slow, I feel like.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like time's gone a lot slower this year, which is weird. Maybe it's just growing up.
Yeah, I feel like the jump from New Year's to now,
Yeah.
for me, felt like a week. Like, literally like a month. Like, insane.
When I look back, a lot has happened, so...
Yeah.
I think with the whole name Halfway Home, obviously we're two international students, international student athletes. Tim mentioned, when you are an international student athlete, you're trying to like create a home here for the 4 years that you're here in the US. You know that you've got a home back where you come from, and home for me is like security and feeling like you belong in somewhere. And I guess we're halfway home because we're in a place where we don't quite feel that, and then we're in a place in life where we're at this young age. I'm 21, you're 22.
22.
Where we haven't got much security in our life at the moment, still figuring out what we want to do, and where we're going.
Facts.
And that's kind of what this podcast is going to be about. Like,
and I think the last part especially is like we have no idea where we're going to end up, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if we're going to end up in New Zealand or America or somewhere else in the world, and yeah, it just feels like we're halfway home.
Yeah.
But we have no idea where we're going to end up, what we're going to do, if we're playing soccer professionally or, I don't know, becoming an entrepreneur or whatever we got planned, right?
Whatever you want to do. The world is your oyster. The world is yours.
The world
as
is
they
yours.
say,
Yeah.
And
True.
we're not experts on anything. We're just sharing our experiences as student athletes in a different country. Maybe for some people who are looking at coming over here and doing this, I know it's become a very popular route, especially for young football players or young soccer players now. And just sharing our life experiences, the troubles, the fun parts about being this age as a young guy, or just a young person in general.
Yeah. So let's start right into it. Max and me are always talking about the life of a student athlete? Because I think some people from back home where I'm from, or from back home where you're from, they are actually interested in how is the life as a student athlete, as an international student athlete. How is it being far away from home, from your family, kind of the struggles, right? Kind of the good times. What would you say, Max, is like one of the things that stick out to you the most, where you went like, "Ooh, that made this experience so unbelievable"?
I think, that's the first thing that I'd premise, is that being in the US and this experience, for the most part, it's amazing. Like, extremely grateful to be able to be doing this. I've been here 2 years now. This is my third year in the States. And when you really take a step back, you're living in a different country, you're playing the sport that you love, you're getting an education, and you're meeting a whole bunch of new people and just living like a completely different life to what you lived back home, or for me at least. So yeah, that's the thing that I take away. Obviously there's struggles living away from home and living in a different country, and there's that just comes with it, and we're going to get deeper into that. But for me, I just like to say, for anyone thinking of doing this, it has probably been the best decision of my life so far. And it hasn't gone perfectly, which obviously we're going to get into detail with.
Give me your number one struggle. What would you say? Somebody asks you, "Hey Max, I've seen you've been in America now for 2 years.
Yeah.
Max been at Missouri State, so you already transferred from one school to the other one.
Yeah.
What would you say is, so far away from home, halfway home, the biggest struggles you have endured so far?"
Let's get straight into the struggles then. Okay.
Yeah.
I think the biggest struggle that I dealt with, especially when I first came here, was just loneliness. When you have, like, the whole excitement dies down a bit of being here, when you have maybe a bad day or a bad training, you don't have, like, your parents to come home to, you don't have friends to come home to that have known you your whole life. You have a roommate that you've met a week ago, 2 weeks ago, a month ago to come home to. And I think it shows the importance of making connections here. Making connections and building relationships while you're over here in the States is almost like the most important thing to me, in my opinion, because it can get lonely. And possibly the biggest example I had, I experienced it last year in my year at Missouri State. I wasn't playing, and wasn't even put on the roster for the fall season. So you have a spring season and a fall season. The fall season is the competitive games, and Missouri State's an extremely competitive environment. And
at this point, I think we have to explain that in soccer, like when you play soccer in America, you only play in the season from August to like end of November, beginning of December if you're lucky, and if you make it to the playoffs. So that kind of shows us that if you're here, right, for a purpose, for playing soccer, and you don't play and you only have 5 months, it's kind of like you're kind of struggling mentally, right?
Yeah, because I guess a big part of why we come to the States is to play our sport. Like, we're recruited to play, like, of course you're getting an education at the same time, but you come here to play soccer, and when that's kind of taken away from you, I'm not playing competitive football anymore, and I'm just a student, you have to lean on those other aspects of being here. You have to lean on being a student. You have to lean on the friendships that you made. I was lucky I had some people in my life at the time that I was very close to, and I could be around them and almost like take myself out of football and keep myself busy.
And I think this kind of takes us back, Max, to what you just said, that from those hard times, from those hardships, you grow the most, right?
Yeah, definitely.
For example, for me, if I compare myself to when I first came here, which was 2022, or even the years before, I think I became a complete different person, just based on all the hardships, all the lessons I've learned, but also all the people I've met. And it's kind of like the correlation between hard times make you a better person, right? And people don't want to have those hard times, but they don't understand that those hard times, in my opinion, actually shape you as a person.
Yeah, definitely. I think when you look back on all the hard times that you've had in your life, those tend to be the most transformative moments as well. And I definitely agree. Like, I came here 19 years old, like a little kid, and I'm still a little kid, I guess, but I've definitely grown so much in the 2.5 years that I've been here, and it has been shaped it's probably because it hasn't gone the way that I wanted it to go necessarily. Like, I've loved my time here, but definitely when you look at it on paper, I haven't really played much competitive football, and I've transferred now in hopes of that, and it looks like it's going in the right direction.
Yeah. Mac's been balling recently. We gotta
I appreciate
say
that.
this point. He had an amazing goal against. We had a scrimmage game against Soda City, and Max had a unintentional chip from 20 yards.
Unintentional.
It was one of the best goals I've seen in a long time for sure, and it was a nice goal. But yeah, Mac's been balling out recently, and that kind of shows that if you as a person and me as a person, I would say Mac's a really diligent person who likes to get better. And I think also for me, I would say I'm a guy who always wants to be a better version every day, right? And I think it kind of shows how you haven't played a single match, or only matches which don't really matter, but then you came here and you had an immediate impact, right? And it's funny for me how to see how in that moment you were so lonely and it kind of consumed you, because you understood that soccer is not your identity, and because soccer is such a big part of you, and you came to America, right? And it completely destroyed you. And the moment you transferred and you have a new coach, you have a new environment, everything can change in a moment, in a second. And I think this is also really important for the audience to understand, for the people who maybe think about coming to America, that you will face hard times. I think it's if I talk to all my mates who came to America to play soccer, and I've transferred 3 times, so I've been around. I would say there's not one person who would say they only had good times. There's always a coach who doesn't like you. There's always a teammate who might be better than you, right? We talk about those biases a lot, and I think it's so nice to see the person you become if you compare yourself to 3-4 years ago.
To add on that, when you talk about transferring and then coming in and making an immediate impact, I'd credit a lot of that to my 2 years at Missouri State. Even though I didn't play that much, I was surrounded by a bunch of players who were better than me. And when you train with a bunch of players who are better than you, and you just observe them and you're in an environment with them, you only have one decision, and that is to grow in order to catch up to them and survive around them.
Show me your 5 best friends and I'll tell you who you are, right?
Yeah. I've spoken about my adversity, I guess, already in the first 30 minutes of our first episode. So why don't you talk to me a little bit about how your college career's panned out so far, and maybe any adversity you've faced?
Absolutely, bro. I signed really late in 2022. I played in a really good team in Germany, in a really historical team. I think I have to mention that before. So I was always planned to become a professional goalkeeper. I'm a goalkeeper, Max a forward at this point. And I always planned on becoming pro. That was my whole life, right? I finished my high school, and then even after high school, I didn't come here immediately. Did you come after high school straight?
No, I took a gap year.
Oh, yeah, same as me.
I think that's becoming a lot more common, especially in Division 1. You see a lot of guys taking a gap year first.
I think it's also because you want to try to go professional in your own country, right? So that was actually my motivation. Like, I wanted to stay in Germany and try my best, and I had a great experience. I played for a historical club. We played in a huge stadium, dude, with like 15,000 people, right? And I was literally only on the bench. I never touched the field. But for me, as an 18-year-old, that was everything.
That's
I
insane
wanted,
experience.
Right? It was 15,000 people. I remember coming in a locker room. It was like those modern locker rooms, from Instagram.
Yeah.
And I was, taking some cake, whatever was there, or like some pretzel, German pretzels.
Yeah.
And some coffee. And me, my young guys, right, we were just goofing around.
Yeah.
And I remember one scene, it was a halftime show. Like, we actually always did a halftime show, me and the guys, because it's not like in America sometimes where you all have to go inside the locker room. It's like actually the players who don't play, they stay outside, right?
Yeah, and they try and fizz long balls to each other.
Yeah,
and all that.
And I remember my guy playing a long ball to me, and me just like bicycle kicking it, trying to do like a show in front of like 10,000 people, and it was.
You think all eyes are on you.
Yeah,
everyone's watching you. Yeah.
Main character moment for sure. But basically, I talked to a good friend of mine who was at this point at Vermont University. They just won the national championship last year. His name is Hans, and he recommended me America and was like, "Hey, dude, I think that would be exactly your thing, right? Like that would be amazing for you." So that's why I really lately decided to go to America, even with the focus to pursue education, to study. because I knew, I mean, you know, as a soccer player, you never know when it's over. And then I signed with a junior college, and at this point we have to explain a junior college, I think, because junior college is like the lowest tier you can play in, lowest tier you can play in America.
Yeah, it's a two-year college system
colleges,
as
yeah.
opposed to a 4-year. Many guys,
Yeah.
for various reasons, whether it's language or grades or graduating later, or trying to being recruited later, or just the level that they're at the time, maybe coming straight out of high school, decide to go into a junior college and then look to transfer into the 4-year colleges. And I think it's important to note that there is a lot of very good junior colleges out there that could compete with 4-year schools and top Division 1 schools, and I've played with a lot of good JUCO players.
Yeah. I mean, I told you about the school we played, Monroe Mustangs, which is a junior college in New York, and their right back is actually the brother of Thomas Partey, the player from Arsenal, and their 10 was a midfielder, and he played for Benfica, and Benfica Lisbon is probably top 3 youth academies in the whole world, right? And they still decide to go to JUCO road to, I don't even know what they're doing there, to be honest, but in the first place, it just shows that even a JUCO, a junior college, have some good teams, right?
Yeah, I think so much of it's like coach as well. Like if you trust a coach, then you're going to go.
And that was actually my motivation. So I went to this JUCO in South Carolina, and to be honest, dude, it was quiet and it was cute. I would describe this place. It was like those Western old towns.
Similar to here, almost?
Similar to here, I would say. Even smaller. It was even smaller.
Wow,
it was
that's
absolutely
saying something then,
nothing. Dude. There was absolutely nothing. And it was just me and the boys and me. And I'm pretty sure I was one of the best field players as a goalkeeper. So that kind of shows like the quality.
Was the level. Okay.
Yeah. So for me, it was facing adversity, right? And I first told myself I want to go home after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, because this is not it. But then I just told myself, hey, dude, just try it and give it a chance. And I actually stayed and became a better person. And then, not became a better person, but I just became mentally stronger, I would say, right? I just became more patient with myself, and also found Jesus Christ, my religion, Christianity, which was a really big part for me in that moment. And that's also because of the guys. And I mean, we're going to talk about this later as well, that actually, I think the friend group, the guys you meet, they actually shape your life there. If you have if you have good friends, then it doesn't matter where you're at. I think the location doesn't really matter.
You have to rely on your teammates so much when you first come in, especially because you don't know anyone. And you're so far away from where you came from.
Especially for us, because we're having no car, right? We have no car. We don't know where to go. Life is so different in America. And Europe, you know, we can always take the bus or walk. And then here it's like a different dimension. And you kind of depend on your teammates driving you to Walmart, helping you to get some groceries or whatever. And it's just a different life.
In some way, it's a blessing that you have an immediate support group to be thrown into, like a soccer team. But I couldn't imagine coming just as an international student who knew no one and trying to work it out.
True. I think that's nearly impossible, bro.
It's not impossible. It just takes a little bit of.
Yeah, but imagine you have to Uber to Walmart every time, or like, you know, if you don't know anybody, if you're not cool with anybody. So that's why I think, especially for the introverts, I feel like America, it kind of makes you go out of your comfort zone because you have no other choice.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You absolutely have to embrace the culture.
I'd say I'm pretty introverted, and definitely. So many times I've been pushed out of my comfort zone, and it just forces you to do it.
And I met some amazing people, and as we just said, I think they actually shaped my year. So it wasn't really about soccer; it was more about the guys I met, and then obviously I was still hustling and working out and doing all that, do my thing. I mean, you know me, 1 or 2 sessions a day, just trying to get better relentlessly. And I ended up at a D2 in Converse University. So I literally, like a little step, right? I worked my way up like from the first step to the next step. I was at a D2 close by here in Spartanburg, South Carolina. Okay. And I met some amazing people again, and I balled out again. It was a great year, some great guys. And then I got the offer from a D1. And it's funny when you ask my teammates on my JUCO, right? And I always told them, guys, I'm going to go to a D1. And obviously they were like, yeah, it's not that easy. And I was like, no, I'm going to go to a D1. Like, it's inevitable, right? So you pronounce it.
Inevitable, yeah.
Inevitable for me to go to a D1 because
You
I
had that
believe in myself.
self-belief,
Right? I had this manifestation of me. Okay, I know I'm good enough. I will go there. And then I signed last summer, 2024, at UNC Greensboro. Huge school.
Big school.
Yeah,
Big
equal
soccer
to
school.
Missouri State, where Max has been. Missouri State is where exactly?
In Springfield, Missouri.
Springfield, Missouri.
Yeah,
so
about
somewhere in the middle.
20,000 students.
Yeah,
Big-
somewhere in the
big
middle
state
of
school.
America.
Yeah.
Right. And I was in North Carolina, and again met amazing people. And this is, to be honest, is just what really made my experience so precious. The people, and but completely different guys, way more internationals. I feel like junior colleges have more Americans, and
Yep.
In a D1 I had a bunch of European guys, and yeah, it was nice. That was
Yeah.
top quality, probably the best team I've ever played in. Amazing coach, amazing surrounding, but equal to you, and that just brings us back to facing adversity. For me, was I didn't play, right? And I didn't play because I wasn't good enough. It was more because the other goalkeeper was set. He was set to be the number one, and he played amazing.
Fair enough.
And then everybody who plays soccer knows how it feels if you know you're good enough, right? Might even be better than the other guy, but just the circumstances don't allow you to play.
That's football, yeah.
Yeah, but
That's football.
but it's so mental, right?
Yeah.
It's so hard in that moment to understand, like, dude, I just want to play and have fun, but I can't because the other guy is better, or the coach doesn't like me, or doesn't trust me. You know, you never know what it is. And for me, it kind of broke me, to be honest, at the beginning, because I knew that I want to play and I'm here for a reason. And obviously, you have so much encouragement in that moment because you came from all the way down. You know, I mean, you know, in America, you always say a JUCO product. So a JUCO product is like meant to go all the way, right? Like you came from all the way down, as that typical American dream from bottom to the top. So for me, it was more like, yeah, dude, I'm gonna make it now. And then I came to UNCG, and I was the number 2 goalkeeper. And I have to say, it was hard for me. It was actually really hard to understand that whatever I do, however I train, I probably won't play. Yeah, and then, yeah, I don't know. I was at a point in my life where I knew I wanted so bad to play soccer that after 6 months at one university, and probably that's the time you need to actually adapt to the university, I decided to transfer again. And so I transferred 3 times in 3.5 years, which is insane.
That is crazy.
Insane. Yeah. And then, yeah, I went to the transfer portal, so you call it in America, and yeah, Coach Jake, our second coach, approached me and was a nice guy, and then I decided to sign here because I knew Max Falconer was gonna be here. So yeah, it was a good decision at the end, right? I mean, I met good guys, you and my teammates. We have a great team, and it's just for me. But what I have to say at this point is, and I think this is pretty interesting for the people who listen to us, it doesn't change. Even though the location changes, right, and the people might change, and the coaches, at the end of the day, it's the same goal.
Yeah.
Right? You go out, you give it to your best every day. You have to remind yourself consistently that even though life sucks sometimes and it's hard, you're still gonna go out and give your best. So for me, it doesn't change if I'm in Missouri or in Clinton, even though the location might matter. For me, it's the same work.
You're
right?
still trying to get the same thing out of it.
Absolutely.
I know, yeah, a lot of guys, especially at this D1 level, they're using this as a stepping stone. They're using this as a pathway to get to professional soccer. And especially in those top Division 1 schools that I know you've been at one, I've been at one, it's almost a strange environment in a way that everyone's trying to become professional at those schools. And you're all best mates and you're all living with each other, but it is insanely competitive. And
I think it's insanely hard to like somebody as a person, you know, but then understand that you have to be selfish because he's your competition.
yeah,
Right? And at UNCG, this was so hard to me because, I mean, we were top 25 in the country, same as Missouri State. And I had these amazing teammates. Like, that was by far probably my favorite team I had in my whole life. Close friends. But you knew at the end of the day, the soccer business is just greedy, right? You have to be greedy.
Yeah, I think it also teaches you to be a good teammate as well.
Yeah.
You've got to realize that you are living with these guys. It's an environment where, you know, you don't go home after and everyone goes and lives their separate lives. You're all living with each other, and if someone's playing over you, if someone's in the 11 or they're coming off the bench before you or they're playing or whatever, like, you've just got to support them. Like, that's all the successful teams are the teams in college soccer with the best team cultures, and the players know their role and obviously give it their all, but they play their role to the best of their ability.
And I think it's hard to, you know, to that, I don't know, that combination between you trying to help the team, but also you have to think about yourself and be like, hey, I also want to play and give it my best. And
that's why the transfer forward was there, and that's why we both went into it.
I agree. Yeah. And at this point at Greensboro, I also got to say that what for me really stuck out was my whole identity changed, and that was kind of what happened to you as well at Missouri State.
I learned a lot more about myself when football was taken away from me.
Yeah, and I think that only happens because of the hard times, right?
Yeah.
If you wouldn't have those hard times, I think I would have never changed the person. Because when I was in Germany, playing, I was pretty arrogant about me playing soccer, me playing football, right? And then here I learned that it's so much more than just playing football, playing soccer. You're actually a human being, right? You have your values, you're beautiful the way you are, and all those.
I like that.
Yeah, dude, you have to constantly remind you, in my opinion, that you are a human being, right? And your identity is not shaped if you train bad or good, right?
Exactly.
Like Max Falconer, if you train good today, for me, you know better if you train bad.
Yeah. I think I can relate to that so much as a young person, and even when I was first here in the States, my mood was determined off how well I played or how well I trained. And if I had a bad training, then it affected me really badly, even a day or two after the training session. And that's a very destructive way of thinking. And when you aren't playing, you kind of come to a realization, like, I can't let this affect my mood so much to where it's destructive, and where I've always got my head down. And being around people that I cared about at the time, and spending a lot of time, and maybe even spending time doing things away from football, so focusing on my studies or just going out and experiencing a different part of the city or America in general, like, that helps. And it realizes, okay, yeah, I came here to play football, I came here to do my thing, but there's so much more to this experience in America, and there's so much more to me as a human being than what happens in the 90 minutes on the field.
I agree. But I also have to say that at this point, you have to take care of yourself, because I believe some people lose themselves.
Oh, 100%. There's always a fine line. There's always a balance.
There's always a party, for example. And for me, I was a little bit struggling with, obviously, there's a party every weekend, something's going on. I mean, Americans colleges are known for those insane parties.
That's the thing that you've got to deal with that. Like, you're going to come here and you're going to be this, probably no one's seen a German before, or no one's seen a New Zealander. You're interesting to people, and the parties and all that, like, you can, it's very easy to fall into that. And it's cool to experience it, like, go to the parties, go out with your teammates and all that, but there is a balance, obviously. But
I think, I agree, and I think sometimes student athletes really struggle with that putting all this together, right? And then also work. I mean, you and me, we also work next to it to get some money. So working 12 hours, 10 hours a week, combining soccer with the main focus becoming professional in soccer, then also being a college student, and then also having a private life. I think it's sometimes extremely hard to balance this as well.
Yeah, you feel like you're stretching yourself a bit thin. But that's what you sign up for here. You're a student athlete.
And I heard this sentence, I don't know if it was Andrew Huberman, but I don't know who it was, but he said that, or the person said that for many people, when they hire people from college, it's not even about what they study, it's more about that they studied, that they finished their degree, especially as a student athlete, because it shows that they kind of develop discipline. Because without discipline, you will not succeed, right? You only get a good college degree if you actually show discipline, attend class, study, but then also be the best version at soccer or whatever you do as a sport.
That's something that I don't even really think about, all the little things that you that I guess you're learning as you go, like managing your soccer with your study and your private life. That teaches you so much about time management and discipline, and it's something that I haven't really thought about. I think it just happened naturally, and then it's cool. You can look back and be like, wow, I am a much more responsible person, much better with my time and stuff now that I've been here 2.5 years.
Yeah, and I think that naturally is also a big factor because, dude, when I think about it now, I feel like I haven't changed, right? Because in the moment, I mean, I know I've changed, but to me, it all came naturally. I naturally adapted to a new surrounding, to a new environment. I've grown as a person, but I never intentionally did it, right? I feel like it just came with the flow. It just came with the people I've met.
Yeah, you were never like forcing yourself to change, really. Like, obviously, it was uncomfortable at times, but that's just, especially at this age when life's moving so fast, a lot of your growth is just going to occur naturally through your experiences and making mistakes and the highs and the lows and everything. And then you look back and you're like, whoa, I've grown so much. That's so cool.
I think it's also funny, and I kind of observed myself a little bit, how we always make problems so insanely important, even though they don't matter.
In the moment,
right?
They're everything,
Even though they don't matter at all, right? Like, for example, earlier when I told you my MacBook, I dropped some water on my MacBook's keyboard, and the keyboard is not working right now, and I was like a little bit mad about it, and letting it consume me. And then I actually realized after an hour, and I was like, dude, why do you let things like that you can't even control consume your mood and your day? Which is a healthy way of thinking, I believe. But it kind of showed me again that if I think about it in 2-3 weeks, or in 2-3 months, it wouldn't matter at all. Because I'll have a new problem. I have a new day. I have a new adversity I'm gonna challenge. And I think it's also interesting to see how we humans just react to that with so much intensity, even though it doesn't matter at all, right?
Yeah, damn, that's a lot to unpack there. Controlling what you can control is something that I've learnt a lot this past year, and during my whole time in the States. There's so many things in life which you just can't control. You can control very little in this life that you have, and most of that is just how you react to things. You can always control how you react to something. So if you chose to completely crash out and punch your keyboard even more, like, you had control over how you reacted to that, and that wouldn't have helped you at all. Maybe you can control your reaction by, okay, how can I immediately fix this, or what can I do to fix this, and then that's going to benefit you. Like, it's all about how you react to things, I think.
True that. But it's actually hard to remind yourself, right?
Oh, in the moment it's so hard. That's so much easier said than done, by the way.
Because your emotion consume you, and I think we humans are so animalistic in so many ways, right? And we just act based on our emotions. Yeah. And I mean, it's so funny because we talk about it like we're pros, right? But
we're talking about like we're experts right now. If you see me and Tim on the field when something goes, like,
tell them about me on the field, bro. Like, I have the biggest.
If we lose a small-sided game and we're on the same team,
I'm
we are the most emotional beings on the planet. So
true. But I think that's why you have to constantly remind yourself.
Exactly. This is a way of reminding ourselves right now by talking about it publicly.
Yeah, publicly. Okay, later I will actually stay calm in training instead of crashing out again.
Shake on that.
Shake on that. Let's see if it holds on. But yours.
Tell me about your experience calling your mum after you broke your MacBook today.
Oh yeah.
And the lesson you maybe have learned from that.
I called my mom today, as always, because obviously we all love our moms.
Yep.
And my mom lives in Italy, and she's a flight attendant. So she was just coming back from a long trip, and her small house in Italy, close to the beach, Tuscany and Florence. I would recommend it to everybody, guys. Go to Italy. I promise you,
I'm going back with you.
You won't ever leave again.
I'm going back.
Maybe New Zealand can compete with that, but not many places I've seen that actually can compete with the beautiful life, il dolce fa niente, the sweetness of doing nothing of Italy. And there was how do you call the animal again? I told Max a story earlier, but I forgot.
What did you call it?
I call it a stink animal.
Stink animal. A skunk.
A skunk. So my mom has some cats and some dogs, and she has a little, in the door she built in a little clap, like, how you call it, a door, like a cat door, right?
Like a cat flap.
Like a cat flap.
I think that's what we call it in New Zealand.
Cat flap.
Yeah.
And a skunk literally went into that door and into the house, and obviously raged.
Yeah.
So that skunk was panicking.
The skunk crashed out. In
Crashed
your
out in my mom's house and absolutely obliterated that house. So the house was upside down from a skunk.
And when you get like when a skunk sprays you or a skunk sprays your house,
I've never
like,
smelled it. Did you smell it? A skunk?
no, but I've heard like you have to get rid of everything. Like, yeah.
To be honest, the moral of the story, coming back to that, I was telling my mom about my MacBook problem, and I lost my favorite chain and all that. And for me, it was in that moment, it was like so consuming me as a person and my mood and my day, until I remembered myself
complaining,
and my mom was like, and that's why I love my mom so much, and we love all of our moms so much. I hope she didn't tell me about her problems, but instead she was feeling sorry for me, right?
Yeah.
And this is like an attribute, a characteristic, which I think in life can bring you so much more. It's like loving other people more than yourself, right? And especially as a mom, loving your child or whatever more. So that means that your own problems weigh nothing compared to a different person's problem.
Yeah. So, how did you even find out about the skunk? Because obviously was it like, oh yeah, my MacBook's broken, all this, and she
was like telling me, don't worry about it, we'll figure it out, right? Like everything will settle down. And then I asked her, how are you?
Yeah.
And she was like, you want me to tell you the truth? And I was like, yeah. And then she told me, yeah, a freaking skunk. And I couldn't believe it. What are the odds?
Yeah.
The odds that a freaking skunk comes into your house and stinks the whole house.
So, like, objectively, her situation's a lot worse than yours.
Yeah.
But she still had the
courage, you know?
and the empathy to not even tell you and just...
Yeah, it's that unlimited love, you know,
Yeah.
towards people you have.
I think that also shows that whatever happens to you in life, you're not that special. Like, there's going to be people who have gone through things way worse or exactly the same than you have, and they've gone through it, so you can get through it as well. And when you do feel like, oh, why has this happened to me? I'm so special. No one else has ever gone through this. That's a really dangerous place to be in, because then you're not opening yourself up to help. You're not opening yourself up for a phone call off mum to make you feel better.
Yeah.
And that can be pretty destructive for your mental well-being.
And I agree. I think it also could always be worse, right?
Yeah.
And that kind of reminded me of this sentence that you always have 1,000 problems you face until you have one health problem.
Okay.
And every other problem vanishes.
Yeah.
You know? So in that moment, it just shows us that you have 1,000 problems every day, right? You have to manage and face. But once you have one important problem you can't change, you know, like a health problem, for example, everything else doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, like so many of the problems we face in day to day aren't that serious. Like you can fix it eventually, or you'll get over it eventually. And then when you
we make them so important, but they're not bad. You know what I mean? Like it could always be worse. Like you could have cancer, or you could have like actually be, I don't know, lose your leg, right?
Yeah.
In that moment.
And like those are actual problems.
Yeah. And me losing my chain or messing up my keyboard in that moment was so important, was so like damaging to me. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, bro.
Even with, it's hard to say this, but even with like soccer at the end of the day, like, okay, you didn't play the game, you had a bad season, or you didn't play in the season.
Doesn't matter, dude.
Bro, it doesn't matter. It's just part of the journey.
Life
like,
is so beautiful.
The only thing we have is the journey. Just enjoy the journey that you're on.
I agree.
And obviously, you want to use it as motivation, use it to discipline yourself to get better, and like that's life. Using your shortcomings and your setbacks to push forward. But at the end of the day, like, it doesn't really matter.
I agree.
Is that a good way to end it?
That's a good way to end it, bro. It's an amazing way to end it.
Yeah.
So, guys, thank you so much for listening.
Thanks so much. Yeah, we really appreciate it. Let us know what you thought.
Yeah, we would love a subscription, a little follow on our privates, whatever. Max and me are really invested in making this a big thing.
Yeah, we really enjoy it as well.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, I really like that.
Yeah.
It was cool.
All right, thanks, guys. We'll see you later. See you in the next episode.
See you.